Okay, how you doing, guys? It's Jim here. It is Monday the 9th still. I'm just getting home from our class today, and I thought I'd step online and just make us our first custom tutorial for our class here. And it's just going to be a recap of the stuff that we went over in class today, because that sweep tutorial that we tried to pull off did not come out too well, and there's quite a few different features in there that I really want to make sure that we all kind of understand. One of the biggest points to make about this Pierce command that I brought up was that sometimes it can be very difficult to run correctly, and the sweep command in general is a very helpful tool that you're going to use a lot as far as creating cables and cords and wires in your parts. But it's also a good backup for when other tools that we already know really well, like revolve, don't work. Sometimes the sweep can do the trick. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this thing again for you, and we're just gonna talk about some of the different things that happened today in class, and then also I want to just kind of show you some backup plans if you ever run into the same sort of issues that I was having today in class. That's how we're going to do it. So I'm just starting off with just a straight direction line for my sweep, right? And it's just going to be a nice straight line. It's going to be on its own sketch, and I'm just going to exit out of that sketch like that. I drew it right on the top plane just like that. So there you go. The next one that I'm going to try to do is I'm going to do this guide curve for my sweep. Okay, so let me do that. So I'm going to draw that on my top plane. So I'll go to my top plane, create a sketch on my top plane. And there we go. Create a sketch on the top plane. I'm going to look normal to the top plane because that's just going to help me understand better what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to go here and I'm just going to draw out a curve, and that's going to be that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we were just about here when we started to have the wheels come off today in class. So let's get back into it now. Let's get back on the wagon and try to make this thing work. So we've got now a guide curve on its own sketch. There it is right there. We've got a directional curve right here, and we're ready to add our profile curve for our sweep now, okay? So the way to do this is to zoom out, kind of look around, kind of look at your different planes and decide which plane is going to be perpendicular to your direction curve, okay? That's really, really important, okay? So let's do that, all right? Okay, so it looks like it's the front plane. I've got the option to just click on it so it turns on, and then I can right click on it and open a sketch that way. Or I can go to here to the front plane and I can open up a sketch in the front plane that way. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this thing. So I'm just going to draw a circle kind of off in space over here. I'll look normal too. There we go. So I'm kind of drawing it away from the two guide curves that I have laid down already, and that's okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to use that Pierce command to attach it to the end of these two things, just like we did in class today. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK and just approve that sketch just like that. Okay. And one of the things that I had done today was I went to the center mark of this guy. You know, you hold down Control and then you click on the curve you'd like to attach to, or you'd like to add that pierce command to, and then it will pierce to that line. But our big problem happened after we had pierced the circle to the directional curve, and then we tried to pierce the circle to the guide curve. There was nothing to pierce onto. There was no point. There's a point on this circle right here, and because there's no other points on this circle, there was nothing to really attach or to pierce this curve to this curve. So one of the things I didn't bring up in class, one way to do that is to just get back in here on this curve here, and you can add a center line to this guy like that. You add a center line and just lay this guy down just like that. There you go. And then just hit escape. And then when you've got a center line on your circle, that'll give you an extra point that you can then pierce to over here. Okay, so we didn't do that in class. And then what we ended up doing is we tried to use a coincident relationship, which you all know about, to attach this curve to this circle. And that was where our problems really started to compound onto themselves. Okay, so let's get into this thing now, and let me just play around with this. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the center point of this circle. Okay, I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to click on this direction curve. I'm going to click on the curve itself, not on a point like over here or over here, but on the curve itself. Okay, and when I do that, I'm going to get the make pierce command. Okay, notice that I'm keeping it really simple out here. Okay, I don't have a lot of planes turned on. I don't have a bunch of other sketches hanging out. I'm just keeping things very simple right now because I'm trying to learn this tool. Okay, so center point, hold down Control, click the curve. Pierce command comes up, and then you pierce it to that sketch. Okay, roll around it in 3D, get ready for the next part. This is the part that we didn't do in class. Now that we have this point right here, we can click on that point, okay, hold down Control, and we can click on this curve. Boom. Okay, there, it was very quick that it popped up. Again, click on the point, there we go, hold down Control, click on the curve. There's our pierce command, okay? Notice what I did there. First, I tried to click on just the curve, I get just these commands, not the commands I want. If I click on just the circle and then I click on the guide curve itself, I don't get the pierce command. I have to click on a point. And this is what we didn't bring in class. This is why I'm making you guys this special video so that we can get this down by our next class, okay? So it's a point. Click on the point, hold down Control, click on the curve, pierce command suddenly appears out of nowhere, and then you can pierce the circle to the guide curve. Voila, okay? So now we're set to go. Because we've used the pierce command, not the coincident relationship, but the pierce command, now we can go ahead and we can run the sweep as we've wanted to for so long now, okay? Go up to swept boss base. We're going to define this as our profile curve. This is going to be our main directional curve. There's that. And then, okay, hello, here we go, right, like that. And then we can go over here to guide curves, unfold guide curves, click on our guide curve, and it is going to give us this not so exciting example, but it at least gives us that little bit of a bend right there from our profile, from our guide curve, and we'll know it has worked. And I'll hit the green check box, and now we've created that thing. Now, what do we notice about this right away? That would be 10 times easier to make using a revolve. We wouldn't have to do the pierce command, and we wouldn't have to do all of this snapping or any of these different sketches. And so this is part of the thing about learning SolidWorks, is to understand that all these tools can be used to use the same thing, to do the same thing. So it's going to be up to you to make the decision which tool is right for which job. And a lot of times the thing that will help you decide is one tool won't work or it will. So let's just jump back in here and play around with this. So I'm going to unfold the sweep commands, and I'm going to look at all the curves that are building this shape, and I'm just going to go here to my guide curve. If I want, you know what, I can even just double click on that and just go like guide and just name it guide curve, you know. One thing I haven't covered in class is how you can just name these curves right here in your design tree to help you understand what they are. I can edit that guide curve, and I can give a little bit more oomph to it. There we go. Exit out of there, and it will update the shape accordingly, okay? Okay, guys, that's it. So the big thing there was that we didn't pierce the profile curve to our guide curve, and that was the thing that got us. And you can see that it's very tricky to get those pierce commands to work correctly. Let me show you something else, by the way, okay? Let's go here. I'm going to delete the guide curve. I'm going to delete the entire sweep to start. There we go. And I'm going to delete the guide curve here. Okay, cool. And we just get back to our straight curve here, okay? All right, so I'm going to go here to my straight curve. I've got that on my top plane. I'm going to go to my front plane. I'm going to knock out a sketch just like that. There we go. We'll get a circle going. All right, just like that. We're happy about that. Let's make that actually a little bit of a smaller sketch. Let's see here. Just going to throw a real quick smart dimension on here just to shrink the size down. There we go. Hit OK, and then we will, after that's done, we'll take the smart dimension off. Okay, cool. Exit out of that sketch, and then let's just look at what we've got. Okay, so now we've got this circle, and we've got this directional curve, and we're good to go. We've got our top plane that's sitting right there, and we're kind of drawing off of our top plane, okay? So another way to get these curves to attach to themselves is to go here to your top plane. You open up a sketch, get your spline tool out here, okay? And this would be the back end way to do it. Get a nice spline coming in here like this, and just draw it so that it almost hits that circle. You don't want it right on there, okay? Because once you start to try to attach it, you can try as hard as you want, but once you go into 3D, you notice they don't exactly line up, okay? So, but you can, if you want, apply the pierce command to the guide curve first and then attach it to the circle, because this guide curve has a point on the end, you can attach the pierce command to the circle using its point. Remember what we found out about our first round, right? We needed to have a point on this circle to attach it to this curve. So because the curve is now where we're going to start, the curve has a point, we'll attach it to the circle, okay? So let's try that. So I'm going to go here to that curve, hold down Control, and I'm going to click on this circle, and voila, there is our pierce command. So we can go make pierce, and it'll just attach that guy right to the edge, just like that, okay? So there we go. We're happy with that. Okay, now I'm going to try to run this sweep again, but I'm a little bit worried that maybe if I edit this circle here, gosh, I think I might only have a coincident relationship here, not the pierce command that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go here and pull it off for a second and then hold down Control, and I'm going to hit the curve itself. There we go, to find the pierce, and I'm going to pierce it back there. Okay, cool. All right, so now I have pierce commands on this curve and on this curve, and I'm ready to run the sweep again. So grab my sweep tool, profile curve, directional curve, okay, guide curve, boom. Okay, and there she is. Works like a charm, right? Easy peasy. The pierce command is the key to that. You just need to make sure that your guide curves are pierced to your profile curves, and you're good to go. Okay, so this works with lofts too. A lot of times you might want to have a guide curve on your loft, okay, defining the shape of your loft. So let's go here, and I'm just going to make a new shape, or sorry, I'm going to make a new file. There we go, and we're going to go front plane, and I'm going to go okay, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to go da-da-da, like this, do a little oval thing. There we go, there's one. All right, and then let's go to top plane, create a sketch. All right, let's see here, let's go like, all right, like actually let's use something fun like a hexagon tool or a polygon tool. There we go. If you haven't played around with the polygon tool, I highly recommend it. It's very fun. Okay. All right, we'll go back to, let's see here. Let's get rid of this guy here. All right, let's go like that. That's a pretty big polygon, so I might want to adjust the size of the very first oval that I drew. Let's drag it way up. We'll block it, of course, to move it. There we go. There we go, and we'll explode the block to get back to where we started. Throw a smart dimension on here between these 2 points, and we're going to go 25. We'll make it a nice big oval like that. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go from here down to here, and let's play with that a little bit. Okay. In order to add a guide curve between these two sketches, you have to draw the guide curve on one of the planes that's touching both of those sketches. So we've got the one sketch down here, which is drawn on our top plane. Okay. Show the top plane. Pull it out if we need it to remind ourselves where are we drawing on. Okay. There we go. Then we've got this sketch here that's drawn on our front plane. So let's show the front plane. And let's pull it out so we remember where we're drawing from. Okay, there we go. Voila. All right, good. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to put a sketch that goes from here down to here. It's our guide curve, okay? So if we look at our right plane, here's our right plane right here. If we pull this guy out, we notice that's the perfect kind of location for us to draw an arc that'll connect these two sketches. Okay, so the right plane is actually going to be where we're going to want to draw this next guide curve. So I'm going to right click on that, open up a sketch. Okay, and I'm just going to loosely kind of throw down a curve, not touching on any of these sketches. See, because the minute I touch that point right there, I get a coincident relationship from SolidWorks. Okay, so I'm just going to get kind of close, and I'm just going to click. I'm not going to touch any of these points down here. I'm just going to kind of click around here and just kind of throw it down into space and then hit escape to drop it. And then I'll go around in 3D space, and I just wanted to show you guys, see how this guide curve is not touching either of those curves. We want to leave it floating in space so that we can use our pierce command to connect the two sketches together. Okay, so there we go. Okay, cool. So now that I've got that, I've got a curve that has a point, and I can then take this point and I can pierce it to the other sketch. Okay, so I'm going to grab that point like that, hold down Control, and I'm going to click somewhere on this line. So right here like that, not click the point and then click another point. If I click another point, I don't get the pierce command here. See, because that's point to point. It's wanting to put the 2 points coincident to each other, not allow us to do a coincident relationship. So this is different. So grab the point, hold down Control, and then click the curve itself, and there pierce shows up. And then you click that, and you see what it'll do. It'll snap the end of this curve to that sketch, just like that. So let's do it down here, okay? So grab this point here, grab a point, hold down Control, click on a curve. There we go. And there's the make pierce command. Alternatively, to show you the wrong way to do it, grab the point, hold down Control, click on another point, no pierce, right? Because that's point to point, not point to curve. Hopefully that makes sense for us. Okay, grab the point, hold down Control. There we go, make pierce. It's going to pierce that sucker right there. And now we have a nice guide curve that we can use to guide the loft that we're going to create from, from this shape down to this one. Okay, so let's do that. All right, here we go. Exit out of everything. Grab a lofted boss base. Go profile curve to profile curve. Okay, make sure that the guide of your profile curves is set up in a similar fashion. There we go. See how that didn't work first off when I did it? And I knew right away. It goes from like the upper right hand corner of this top profile curve down to this side of the other profile curve, and because there was no preview, I knew it was going to fail. So you got to mess around with these things and make them work. Okay, there you go. All right, now the guide curves command that we noticed from the first sweep that we did, it's back. It's right here in Loft too. So you just click in there, and then you can just add this curve as the actual guide curve, and there you go. All right, so voila. So now we've got this cool guide curve. We got this loft. We can unfold the loft, and we've got access to all the curves that are driving that loft. There's the first one, which is the upper curve there. There's sketch 2, which is the lower curve, and then there's sketch 3, which is the guide curve. So if we wanted to change sort of like the side profile of this loft, we could go here to sketch 3. That's our guide curve, and we could change this thing around to something fun like that. Or we could edit this sketch here, and we could change it to something crazy extreme. Let's see if that'll work. That'll work for sure. Okay, and there you go. All right, so that's the benefit of having a guide curve in a sweep or a loft, is that you have this editable feature that's inside of here. Okay, cool. Now, one of the questions we got in class was, why would I ever use Loft? Well, I mean, one reason that I've used it recently is to put handles on top of things. Okay, so if you want to have a cool looking handle, you go here to mirror, you grab a face, and then it goes features to mirror. Which one do you want to feature? It's the Loft. So go like that. There you go. And then you can come over here to your right plane. Go to your right plane. We'll throw a base on here, something good. Just like that. Throw a revolve boss base on here. That's going to be the revolution point. Okay, there we go. Throw a shell on that thing just like that. Give it, like a 5mm shell. If I don't have my number lock on. There we go. That looks like that shell is a little bit too thick for that. SolidWorks is just going to sit here and think about that move for a second. And unfortunately, it's going to think really, really hard. Maybe crash the computer. But, yeah, it looks like it did that. Okay, I'm not doing any sort of scale or anything in here. Oh, it's because the handle got shelled out as well. That's why it had to think so hard, okay? So this is a really ugly handle, but it is a handle to be the least. And it's a cool looking handle as far as if we turn our curves off. It does go from the hexagon up to a smooth center here. So that's at least an interesting form that you wouldn't be able to build otherwise, okay? So that's where lofts could come in handy. There's a billion different ways that lofts can come in handy, and it depends on the project you're working on, depends on the form that you're trying to create. And as we begin our USB project, I'm sure we're going to run into some options where maybe Loft could be the tool that we're going to need to pull it off. Okay, so that's a lot. That's a long video, and I probably will go over this stuff again in class just to really drill it into you, but I wanted to take a chance to just go over this one more time, definitely for your benefit, also for mine, so that we can just cover this stuff and we just know where we all stand as far as these tools are concerned. They don't work every time, and there's quite a few rules to remember with each tool, but the thing to remember always is that if you just practice, sooner or later, you're going to memorize how to use this stuff, and before you know it, you're going to be making anything you want in SolidWorks, and that's what we all look forward to. So anyway, thanks a lot. I hope this helps. Email me if you have any problems. I would love to help you guys out while you're working on your other stuff, so let me know, and that'll be that. Thanks a lot.